something that I neglected to do at the end of the previous exercise was create my layer group for Content Box 3. I was so excited to get the our location vector smart object placed that I completely forgot to create my layer folder. So I'm just going to grab the vector smart object layer. I'm going to hold down shift and I'm going to click on the Content Box 3 layer. That selects all the layers in between there for me. And then of course controller command G on my keyboard, and I'll go and rename this guy Content Box 3. There we go. Okay, perfect. Now, I was just looking at the overall layout. If I just zoom out here a little bit, things are really coming together nicely for me. I love the colors that we're using here. The imagery really goes nice with the sort of the Halloween or the haunted house look and feel that we're going for. We're actually in the home stretch. We're almost finished the design here. But what I've decided to do here for our design is add in some placeholder text for our 3 content boxes beneath the photos, okay? So just some lorem ipsum text that we're going to go and drop in here. And I'm going to start off with content box 1, okay? So as a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and twist open the content box 1 layer group, and I'm going to go and select the content box 1 layer, okay? This is the guy with the blue overlay, this fella here, okay? So we're going to drop some lorem ipsum text on top of this guy. So give me just a second. I'm going to head all the way down to my desktop, and I'll head into my work files folder and into lorem.txt. Of course, we've seen this guy before. I'm going to grab this text here and copy it, controller command C, and then head back over to Photoshop. Okay, so I have that lorem ipsum text copied onto my system's clipboard. And let's see here. I'm going to go and grab my type tool out of the toolbox, this fella here. And I'm just going to carefully click and drag out a text frame, something like this. Okay, there we go, something like that. All right, perfect. When I click and drag, by the way, with the type tool here inside Photoshop, it creates a text box or a text frame. Okay, so I'm just going to paste directly into this text frame. Just controller command V, of course. Now you may wind up getting some very large text. I have no idea. I was fiddling around with this, and the settings that I wound up using, or the formatting options that I wound up using, are the following. I went with Verdana and regular, and then I wound up using just 4-point for the size, and my color way down here is black. Okay, now you can fiddle around with these settings if you want. That's perfectly fine, but I'm just letting you know where I wound up. Okay. All right, so there we go. I'm going to head back to my Move tool now. What I now want to do is I want to make some copies of this text layer. There's a few different ways to do it. I think what I'll do here is I'll take the actual text layer that appears above the Content Box 1 layer inside the Layers panel, and I'll click and drag down. So I'm actually dragging the layer down to the new layer icon there down at the bottom of the Layers panel. Click and drag your layer down there, and that'll create a copy for you. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this layer and drag and drop him down. This is the copy of the layer. Drag and drop him down into Content Box 2, into that Content Box 2 layer group. And if I scroll down, there's the layer sitting right there. So I want him to be on top of my Content Box 2 layer there. So a little bit of reorganizing there. If I did that too fast for you, I'll show you one more time how to do that in just a moment with the third content box. But what I'll do now with this second, or this copy of my type layer selected there, is with my Move tool, I'm going to click and drag this guy over towards the right on top of the second content box, if that makes sense. Now, if I ran through that too quickly, let me try and slow things down here for you a little bit. Sometimes I go a little bit too fast. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this existing lorem ipsum text, duplicate it, and then drop it onto Content Box 3 now, okay? So as I had mentioned a moment ago, there's a bunch of different ways to do this. Usually what I do is I grab the type layer inside the Layers panel, and I'm going to click and drag and drop him down on top of that new layer icon at the bottom of the Layers panel. And doing so creates a copy or a duplicate of the current layer, okay? So that's exactly what we wound up with here. Now we have 2 lorem ipsum layers. Actually, we have 3. There's another one up here somewhere, but in any regard, 2 for our purposes. I'm going to take one of them and drag and drop him into Content Box 3, the Content Box 3 layer group. There we are. And then I'll twist this layer group open, and I'm going to go and find my text layer. There he is there at the bottom of the layer group. And I'll simply click and drag and drop this guy above the Content Box 3 layer, okay? Because I want him on top of the Content Box 3 layer. And then I'm going to make sure that this type layer is selected. I have the Move tool activated inside the toolbox, which means I can just click and drag on the layer and move him over, move that object, that text object over onto Content Box 3 like so. That's all there is to it. So now if I zoom out, there we go. There's some placeholder text inside all 3 content boxes.